The void of space held its secrets tightly, but none so coveted as a derelict Class 1 ship. Fleet Commander Vrex Talaran's mouth tentacles quivered with anticipation as the scanning results confirmed what his crew had suspected. A genuine death. World vessel, abandoned intact and ripe for salvage. "Confirmation complete, Commander," First Navigator Peleth announced, her 6 eyes blinking in sequence. "Signature matches Death World Class 1 specifications. Preliminary scans indicate dormant status." The bridge of the Galactic Confederation exploratory vessel Nebula Seeker fell silent. Death World ships were legendary, vessels built by civilizations that evolved on the most brutal planets in the galaxy. Such ships contained technologies forged in evolutionary crucibles that spacefaring species from gentler worlds could barely comprehend. "Position?" Vrex asked, his scaled skin shifting from blue to a vibrant purple of excitement. "Sector 87 Delta, orbiting an uninhabited gas giant in the fringe territories," Peleth replied. "No registered claims within 16 parsecs." Vrex's facial ridges expanded with pleasure. The fringe territories were contested space, technically open for salvage rights under Confederation law. Finding a Death World vessel here was the equivalent of discovering an ancient treasury unlocked and unguarded. "Prepare boarding team Alpha," Vrex commanded. "Full biohazard protocols. And notify Central Command. Mark this as a priority discovery, Talaran claiming." Science Officer Mipts, a methane-breathing Quarlian, floated forward in his containment suit. "Commander, preliminary data suggests this vessel originates from Sol 3. The bridge crew collectively stiffened. Sol 3, Earth, was a fairly recent addition to the galactic community. The humans had joined only 60 standard cycles ago, but their reputation had spread quickly. Their homeworld was classified as Death World 9, nearly off the charts, producing organisms adapted to survive conditions that would kill most sentient species instantly. "Impossible," Vrex dismissed. "Humans don't venture this far into the fringe. Their territory is restricted by the Arcturus Treaty. The ship's design elements match human engineering principles," Mipts insisted. "And the radiation signature of the propulsion system is consistent with their technology." Vrex waved a dismissive limb. "The vessel is clearly abandoned. Salvage, rights apply. Proceed with boarding operations." The boarding team assembled quickly. 8 crew members, the best the Nebula Seeker had to offer, suited up in the highest-grade protective gear. Dvora, the security chief with exoskeletal plating, instead of skin, checked her disruptor one last time. "Remember," she instructed her team, "Death World vessels often contain automated defense mechanisms. Proceed with extreme caution." The shuttle journey to the derelict ship took 17 minutes. As they approached, the vessel's true scale became apparent. Nearly a kilometer in length, its obsidian hull absorbed light rather than reflected it. No markings were visible except for faded symbols near what appeared to be an airlock. "I don't like this," muttered Kraz, the team's technical specialist. His sensory antennae were flattened against his skull, a sure sign of distress among the Vithari. "It's too quiet." Dvora guided the shuttle alongside the massive ship. Initiating docking sequence. The airlock mechanism yielded surprisingly easily. After running atmospheric tests, which showed breathable air for most of the team members, they entered cautiously, weapons drawn. Interior lights flickered to life automatically, revealing corridors clearly designed for bipedal species. The architecture was stark, utilitarian, yet somehow elegant in its efficiency. "Definitely human design," confirmed Mipts over the comms from the Nebula Seeker. "But this appears to be a military-grade vessel. Proceed with caution." The team advanced deeper into the ship, marveling at the technology. Despite appearing abandoned, systems were functioning at minimal levels. Life support, gravitational stabilizers, even some navigation displays flickered with activity. "Commander," Dvora reported, This vessel isn't derelict. It's in standby mode. Before Vrex could respond, a new voice, flat, synthetic, and speaking perfect galactic common, emerged from the ship's communication system. Attention, unauthorized boarding party. You have entered United Earth Defense Force property. Identify yourselves immediately. The team froze as red lights began pulsing throughout the corridor. Kraz's scanner suddenly lit up with dozens of new readings. Multiple life forms, he whispered in horror. All around us. They weren't here before. They're emerging from cryostasis. Devora raised her weapon instinctively as a sealed door ahead of them began to hiss open. Stand down immediately, commanded the same synthetic voice, now broadcasting through the ship's internal systems. Security protocols have been activated. This is your only warning. Devora kept her disruptor aimed at the opening door, her exoskeletal plates tightening defensively. The boarding team formed a protective circle, facing outward as the sound of movement echoed from multiple corridors. From the doorway emerged not the expected human, but a sleek, hovering drone. Its matte black surface reflected no light, and a single red sensor array swept over the boarding party. Your weapons are ineffective against this vessel's defense systems, the drone stated. Identify yourselves and state your purpose. We are representatives of the Galactic Confederation exploratory vessel Nebula Seeker, Devora replied, keeping her weapon steady. This ship was discovered abandoned in unclaimed space. Under Confederation salvage law, we are investigating for potential claims. The drone hovered silently for a moment. Incorrect. This vessel is the UES Invictus, currently on active duty patrol in Sector 87 Delta under the command of Captain Elisande Riker. It is not abandoned. As if on cue, a side panel slid open and a figure stepped out. Standing just under 2 meters, tall, the human female wore a form-fitting gray uniform with blue insignia. She carried no visible weapons, but her stance radiated natural authority. Her dark skin contrasted with short silver hair, and her eyes, enhanced with targeting implants that glowed faintly green, assessed each boarding party member rapidly. I'm Captain Riker, she announced. You're trespassing on a United Earth military vessel. Over the team's comm channel, Vrex's voice crackled urgently. Maintain position. This cannot be a legitimate human military vessel. The Arcturus Treaty prohibits human military deployment beyond the Sol defensive perimeter. Kraz's antennae quivered. Commander, scan readings confirm. This ship is fully operational with a crew of at least 200 currently emerging from cryosleep. Captain Riker seemed to hear the private communication. She smiled, a human expression that exposed teeth, in what other species recognized as a primal threat display. The Arcturus Treaty was dissolved 4 months ago, she explained. Your information is outdated. Earth has established new defensive boundaries after the Proxima incident. Devora maintained her professional composure despite the shocking news. We have received no such update from Confederation Central. Communications can be slow in the fringe, Riker replied with what appeared to be genuine sympathy. Perhaps your databases require updating. From behind Riker, more humans appeared, at least a dozen, all in similar uniforms. Unlike other species who evolved on specialized worlds, humans displayed remarkable variation in height, coloration, and physical characteristics while maintaining the same basic form. Some bore visible augmentations, enhanced limbs, optical, implants, subdermal armor plating. One particularly tall male with dark skin and gleaming cybernetic arms stepped forward. Captain, defense systems are fully online. The rest of the crew is awakening. Shall we detain these intruders? Not yet, Lieutenant Orloff, Riker replied. I believe this is a genuine misunderstanding. She turned back to the boarding party. Your ship detected ours in standby mode and assumed it was abandoned. A reasonable conclusion, but incorrect. We utilize a stealth system that minimizes all emissions during our patrol rotation sleep cycles. Vrex's voice came through again on the team channel. This is highly irregular. Demand verification of their claims immediately. Before Devora could speak, a third human joined the growing group. This one moved differently, with a fluid grace that seemed almost predatory. Tattoos covered visible skin on his neck and hands, shifting colors subtly as he moved. "Scan completed, Captain," he reported. "Their vessel is lightly armed, exploration class as claimed. However, there are 13 Confederation warships that have just entered the outer system and are moving in our direction at high velocity." Riker's expression hardened. "It seems your exploratory mission has a military escort. Perhaps this wasn't a chance encounter after all." Devora genuinely had no knowledge of any such fleet. "There must be some mistake. We are operating independently. Confederation ships have been probing this sector for weeks," the tattooed officer said, his voice calm but accusatory. "Commander Halsey has been tracking their movements." Captain Riker stepped closer to the boarding party. "It appears we have a diplomatic situation developing. I suggest you contact your commander and clarify intentions before this escalates further." The tension aboard the UES Invictus grew palpable as Devora established a direct link between Commander Vrex and Captain Riker. The human crew continued to emerge from various sections of the ship, moving with the confident efficiency of a military unit that had trained together for years. "Commander Talaran," Riker addressed the holographic projection of Vrex that appeared between them. "Your boarding party claims they believed this vessel to be abandoned. Is that correct?" Vrex's skin had shifted to a defensive gray-blue as he faced the human captain. "That is accurate. Our scans detected minimal power signatures consistent with a derelict vessel. We had no indication of an active crew." "That's precisely how our stealth systems are designed to function," Riker explained. "But that doesn't explain the Confederation battle group approaching our position." "Battle group?" Vrex's facial ridges contracted in genuine confusion. "I am aware of no such deployment. The Nebula Seeker operates independently." Lieutenant Orlov stepped forward, manipulating a holographic display that materialized between them. 13 vessels, Commander. Formation consistent with standard Confederation attack pattern Epsilon, currently at 0.7 light minutes and closing. The display showed the approaching ships, unmistakably Confederation military vessels arranged in an offensive formation. Vrex's tentacles coiled tightly, a sign of extreme distress. "This is impossible. I have no knowledge of these ships." "Someone does," commented the tattooed officer, now identified as Commander Halsey, the ship's intelligence officer. "And they coordinated their arrival with your discovery of our vessel." Riker studied Vrex carefully. After a moment, she appeared to reach a decision. "Commander Talaran, I believe you may be an unwitting pawn in a larger game. The timing is too convenient. Your ship discovers us, attempts boarding, and simultaneously a Confederation battle group arrives?" Kraz, who had been analyzing the tactical display, suddenly gasped. "Commander, these ship signatures, they're from the Drefalian Expeditionary Force!" The revelation sent shockwaves through both crews. The Drefalians were a militant faction within the Confederation, pushing for aggressive expansion into the fringe territories, directly against the interests of emerging powers like the humans. "You're being used, Commander," Riker said flatly. "The Drefalians wanted to provoke an incident with a human military vessel. You provided the perfect pretext." Vrex's color darkened. "This is a serious accusation, Captain. The Confederation operates under unified command." "In theory," Halsey interjected, "but intelligence indicates the Drefalian Admiral Zox has been operating with increasing autonomy. His faction believes humans should be contained, not integrated. A new human entered the bridge, older than the others, with extensive scarring across half his face that suggested survival from terrible injury. He wore a different uniform designation. "Captain, we've finished analyzing their shuttle's database," he reported. "Their mission orders were specifically modified to direct them to this sector. The coordinates were planted." Riker nodded grimly. "Thank you, Major Vega." She turned back to Vrex. Your mission was compromised from the start, Commander. The question now is whether you're complicit or manipulated. The realization dawned on Vrex like a cold wave. His people, the Nebulae, had always maintained political neutrality within the Confederation. They were valued for their exploratory expertise, not their military strength. Being used as pawns in an interstellar provocation was both humiliating and dangerous. I assure you, Captain, neither I nor my crew had any knowledge of this deception, Vrex declared, his skin shifting to the purple of absolute truth, a color his species could not fake. We were assigned to chart anomalies in the fringe. Finding your vessel was unexpected. I believe you, Riker said after studying his color. Change. But that doesn't solve our immediate problem. The Drefalian fleet will arrive in approximately 40 minutes. They clearly expect to find either a human vessel captured by Confederation forces or the aftermath of a confrontation. Major Vega spoke up again. Captain, if I may, this presents an opportunity. The Drefalians have overplayed their hand. If we coordinate with Commander Talaran, we can expose their manipulation. Devora, who had remained silent throughout the exchange, stepped forward. My team and I will testify to what we've discovered here. The Drefalians cannot be allowed to provoke war through deception. Captain Riker nodded thoughtfully. A dangerous gambit, but potentially effective. Commander Talaran, are you willing to stand with us against this manipulation? It would mean defying a Confederation admiral. The weight of the decision pressed heavily on Vrex. His career, his ship, his crew, all would be at risk. Yet the alternative was becoming an unwitting catalyst for interstellar war. The Nebulae stand for truth and discovery, Captain Riker, Vrex replied, his skin shifting to a resolute deep blue. We will not be instruments of deception. What do you propose? The UES Invictus hummed with activity as humans and the Nebulae. Boarding party worked together against the clock. The Drefalian fleet would arrive in less than 30 minutes, expecting to find evidence of conflict they could use to justify aggressive action against human expansion. The Drefalians won't expect cooperation between us, Captain Riker explained as she outlined her plan to the assembled officers in the ship's tactical center. That's our advantage. Commander Vrex, now aboard the Invictus, alongside Devora and the boarding team, studied the battle simulations projected above the central table. Admiral Zox is known for his cunning. He will be suspicious if we appear too cooperative. Precisely why we need to maintain the appearance of tension, Lieutenant Orloff agreed, manipulating the tactical display. The Nebula Seeker should appear to be disabled but not destroyed, as if you attempted to claim the ship but encountered resistance. Major Vega, the scarred veteran who served as the ship's tactical officer, pointed to positions on the display. We'll need to create convincing weapons signatures. Targeted electromagnetic pulses to your non-essential systems should provide the right energy readings without causing permanent damage. And my crew? Vrex asked, understandably concerned. We'll remain aboard the Nebula Seeker, Riker assured him. We'll make it appear as though your boarding party was captured. When the Drefalians arrive, they'll find exactly what they expect, a confrontation in progress, but not the one they planned. Commander Halsey, who had been quietly analyzing data streams, spoke up. The key will be the communication logs. Admiral Zox must believe his plan is proceeding until the moment of revelation. Can we be certain the rest of the Confederation isn't complicit? Devora asked, her exoskeletal plating shifting with concern. This could be officially sanctioned. Impossible, Vrex stated firmly. The Confederation Council would never approve such methods. This is a rogue operation. Our intelligence supports that assessment, Halsey confirmed. We've identified communications between Admiral Zox and 3 other Drefalian commanders that explicitly bypass normal Confederation protocols. Kraz, whose technical expertise had proven invaluable, manipulated a separate display showing modified communication arrays. We can use the Invictus's quantum entanglement transmitter to broadcast evidence of the deception directly to Confederation Central, bypassing the Drefalian communication blocks. Captain Riker nodded approval. A two-pronged approach, then. We confront the Drefalian fleet while simultaneously exposing their plot to the wider Confederation. There's still significant risk, Major Vega cautioned. The Drefalians command 13 warships. Even with the Invictus's capabilities, we're outnumbered. Not necessarily, came a new voice. A human female entered the tactical center, slight in build but radiating quiet confidence. Her uniform designated her as the ship's engineering chief. Chief Nakamura, Riker acknowledged. You have something? The Drefalians don't know we've fully awakened our crew, Nakamura explained. According to their intelligence, we should still be at minimal operation with most systems in standby. They won't be expecting our full defensive capabilities. Additionally, she continued, activating a new holographic display, we can use our stealth technology offensively. The Invictus can project false energy signatures to make it appear our systems are compromised. When they move in, expecting an easy target, we spring the trap, Lieutenant Orlov finished, a predatory smile forming. Rex observed the humans with newfound respect. Their Death World evolution had clearly produced not just physical resilience, but tactical ingenuity, born from facing constant threats. 22 minutes until Drefalian fleet arrival, announced the ship's synthetic voice. Captain Riker straightened, her decision made. Begin preparations. Commander Vrex, return to your ship and coordinate with Lieutenant Orlov on the simulated damage patterns. Chief Nakamura, prepare the stealth systems for offensive projection. Commander Halsey, ensure the quantum transmitter is aligned with Confederation Central. As the officers dispersed to their duties, Riker pulled Vrex aside. Commander, I understand the position we're putting you in. Standing against your own Confederation forces, even rogue elements, could be considered treason. Vrex's skin shifted to a pattern of blue and gold, determination mixed with honor. Captain, my people believe in truth above all. The Drefalians have undermined the very principles the Confederation was founded upon. There is no honor in allowing their deception to spark an unnecessary war. Then let's ensure they fail, Riker replied, extending her hand in the human gesture of alliance. Vrex wrapped a tentacle gently around her forearm in response, the nebulae equivalent of a binding oath. As the final preparations were made, the crew of both vessels moved with purpose. Humans from the Invictus assisted in creating the appearance of a struggle, while Commander Halsey worked with Kraz to compile the evidence against Admiral Zox into an undeniable case. 5 minutes to Drefalian fleet arrival, announced the ship's systems. Captain Riker took her command chair on the bridge, now fully staffed with her awakened crew. Commander Vrex had returned to the Nebula Seeker, positioned exactly as a captured vessel would be. All systems ready, Captain, reported Lieutenant Orlov. Stealth projections active. We appear damaged but dangerous, exactly as planned. Quantum. Transmitter aligned with Confederation Central, added Commander Halsey. Ready to broadcast on your command. Riker's enhanced eyes narrowed as she studied the tactical display showing the approaching Drefalian fleet. And now we wait for Admiral Zox to spring his own trap. The Drefalian fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, 13 warships arranged in a predatory semicircle. Their polished hulls gleamed with the distinctive copper green of Drefalian metallurgy, weapons systems prominently displayed in clear violation of Confederation diplomatic protocols. Admiral Zox's flagship, the Righteous Dominion, took position at the center. Nearly twice the size of the others, its forward section bristled with planet cracker cannons, weapons ostensibly prohibited by the very treaties Zox claimed to uphold. Tactical analysis confirms our intelligence, Major Vega reported from his station on the Invictus Bridge. Those are Drefalian Phase 9 warships. The Admiral brought his elite squadron. Captain Riker maintained a calm exterior, but her enhanced eyes narrowed slightly, the only indication of her focus intensifying. Status of our deception? Holding perfectly, Lieutenant Orlov confirmed. Our projected energy signatures show damaged weapon systems and fluctuating shields. The Nebula Seeker appears to be disabled with minimal life support. Commander Vrex is maintaining communication silence as planned. On the main view screen, the Drefalian fleet continued its approach, slowing as they reached optimal tactical range. After a calculated pause, just long enough to suggest confusion over the scene before them, a communication request flashed on the command console. "Right on schedule," Commander Halsey murmured. "Admiral Zox wants to gloat before finishing what he started." Riker nodded to her communications officer. "Accept the transmission, but route it through our filters. I want every word analyzed and preserved as evidence." The view screen shifted to show Admiral Zox, a tall Drefalian with the characteristic four-lobed cranial crest of his species' military elite. His uniform bore excessive decorations, many suspected to be unearned. "This is Admiral Zox of the Confederation Defense Fleet," he announced with practiced authority. "We detected weapons fire in this sector and responded to investigate. I see. We have arrived to find Confederation property under attack by a human military vessel." His voice carried the smug certainty of someone who believed his plan was unfolding perfectly. Captain Riker allowed a flicker of simulated desperation to cross her face. "This is Captain Elisande Riker of the United Earth vessel Invictus. We detected an unauthorized boarding of our ship and responded accordingly. The Confederation vessel attempted to claim our ship while most of my crew was in cryo-sleep." Admiral Zox's expression shifted to one of righteous indignation, so perfectly performed that Riker almost admired his skill at deception. "Captain, you are operating a military vessel in violation of the Arcturus Treaty. Your presence here is illegal, and your attack on a Confederation exploratory vessel constitutes an act of war. The Arcturus Treaty was dissolved 4 months ago following the Proxima incident," Riker countered, watching Zox carefully for his reaction. A brief flash of genuine surprise crossed the Admiral's features before he regained composure. "No such dissolution has been recognized by the Confederation Council. You are in violation of established boundaries and must stand down immediately." "Interesting," Commander Halsey whispered to Riker off-camera. He genuinely didn't know about the treaty dissolution. His intelligence is compartmentalized. Riker pressed the advantage. "Admiral, perhaps your information is outdated. The Confederation Council ratified the dissolution after the unprovoked Drefalian attack on the human research station at Proxima Centauri." Admiral Zox's facial scales flushed with anger. "Those accusations were dismissed as unsubstantiated. There is no evidence linking the Drefalian Defense Force to that regrettable incident." "Actually," Riker replied, her tone shifting to calm confidence, "there is. Just as there is evidence that this encounter was orchestrated by you personally to create a pretext for military action against human expansion." The Admiral's expression hardened. "Baseless accusations. You attack a Confederation vessel and then attempt to deflect with conspiracy theories. The situation is clear. You have violated Confederation space and attacked one of our ships. My fleet will escort you back to Confederation space for trial." "Transmitter ready," Halsey whispered. "Evidence package compiled and authenticated. Quantum connection stable?" Riker gave an almost imperceptible nod before addressing Zox again. "Admiral, before you continue with this charade, you should know that we have recovered the modified mission orders you planted on the Nebula Seeker. Orders that specifically directed them to discover our vessel." For the first time, genuine uncertainty flickered across Zox's face. "You speak nonsense. The Nebula Seeker is an exploratory vessel on a routine mission. A mission whose coordinates were altered through your personal authentication code," Riker continued relentlessly. "Orders that bypassed normal Confederation protocols and were transmitted through the Drefalian military encryption channel." Admiral Zox's composure slipped further. These accusations are being transmitted to Confederation Central as we speak, Riker interrupted, along with communication logs between you and Commanders Peleth, Thorne, and Vrex of the exploratory fleet. Logs in which you explicitly discuss creating a containment incident involving human forces. At this calculated moment, Commander Vrex's voice joined the communication channel. Admiral Zox, this is Commander Vrex Talaran of the Nebula Seeker. I confirm Captain Riker's accusations. My vessel and crew were manipulated as part of your unsanctioned operation. The look of shock on Admiral Zox's face confirmed their success. He hadn't expected Vrex to be party to their plan, had, in fact, counted on the Nebulae commander's reputation for following orders without question. Transmission to Confederation Central complete, Commander Halsey announced. Confirmation of receipt acknowledged. The Council has been convened for emergency session. Admiral Zox's features contorted with rage. You have no idea what you've done. The humans must be contained before they upset the balance of power in the galaxy. Their Death World adaptations make them too dangerous to allow free expansion. And there it is, Riker said quietly. The truth behind your actions. Fear. The Admiral's eyes narrowed dangerously. This changes nothing. Your evidence will take time to review. My fleet still surrounds you, and accidents happen in deep space. By the time an investigation concludes, the situation will be irreversible. I was hoping you'd say that, Riker replied, her calm unshaken. Now, at her command, the Invictus dropped its deceptive energy signatures. The vessel's true systems came online in a brilliant display of power as the ship's stealth technology deactivated completely. The tactical display showed the Drefalian fleet reacting with confusion as their sensors suddenly registered the Invictus, at full military capacity, not the damaged vessel they had been prepared to engage. One last thing you should know about humans, Admiral, Captain Riker said, standing from her command chair. We evolved on a death world. We never go anywhere unprepared. The bridge of the UES Invictus pulsed with controlled energy as status displays shifted from amber to full combat readiness. The Drefalian fleet, momentarily stunned by the sudden revelation of the human ship's true capabilities, began to adjust their formation. They're reorienting for attack, Major Vega announced, fingers dancing over tactical controls. Lead vessels charging weapon systems. Captain Riker stood firm, her enhanced eyes catching every detail of the unfolding situation. All sections, report. Engineering at full capacity, Chief Nakamura confirmed. Adaptive shield harmonics engaged and synchronized. Weapons systems online, Lieutenant Orlov added. Target solutions calculated for all 13 vessels. Quantum communication link with Confederation Central still active, Commander Halsey reported. They're monitoring in real time. On the view screen, Admiral Zox's expression had shifted from shock to cold calculation. An impressive deception, Captain Riker. But you are still a single vessel against 13. Your Death World adaptations won't save you from superior numbers. Perhaps, Riker conceded with unnerving calm, but you seem to have overlooked something fundamental about Death World species, Admiral. We don't survive by fighting fair. We survive by adaptation and preparation. At that moment, space itself seemed to ripple around the Drefalian fleet, as 5 new vessels materialized, sleek, predatory ships bearing the unmistakable design elements of human military technology. Stealth Squadron Decloak confirmed, a new voice announced over the communication channel. UES Phantom, Spectre, Shadow, Ghost, and Wraith reporting for duty, Captain Riker. The Admiral's face drained of color as he realized the magnitude of his miscalculation. What he had thought was an isolated human vessel was in fact the visible component of an entire battle group operating under advanced stealth technology far beyond Confederation capabilities. I believe this changes the tactical situation somewhat, Riker observed. Your move, Admiral. Before Zox could respond, another communication channel opened. The stern face of a Confederation elder appeared, Counselor Efrax of the Judicial Branch, his ceremonial collar indicating an emergency session in progress. Admiral Zox, the counselor intoned gravely. The evidence transmitted by Captain Riker and Commander Talaran has been authenticated. Your actions constitute a clear violation of Confederation law and a deliberate attempt to provoke interstellar conflict without Council authorization. Counselor, I act in the Confederation's best interests, Zox protested. The humans represent an existential threat. That will be determined by proper diplomatic channels, Counselor Efrax interrupted. Not through unauthorized military action. You are hereby relieved of command, effective immediately. All vessels under your authority are ordered to stand down and prepare for the arrival of Confederation peacekeeping forces. Admiral Zox's face contorted with rage. This is outrageous! My fleet will follow Confederation law, came a new voice as one of the Drefalian captains joined the communication. Admiral, the Vigilant Dawn stands down as ordered by the Council. One. By one, the commanders of the Drefalian vessels acknowledged the Council's authority, their weapons systems powering down. Only the Admiral's flagship maintained its aggressive posture. You would surrender to these creatures? Zox snarled at his subordinates. They emerge from a death world. Their very existence threatens the natural order of the galaxy, Captain. Riker's voice remained steady. Our evolution shaped us, Admiral, just as yours shaped you. But unlike you, we learned that survival depends not just on strength, but on cooperation. That's why we chose to expose your plot rather than simply destroying your fleet when we had the chance. A decision the Council acknowledges with gratitude, Counselor Efrax added. This could have easily escalated into full-scale war. Instead, we have an opportunity for renewed diplomatic engagement. Commander Vrex's image joined the communication. Admiral Zox, the Nebula Seeker and her crew were nearly sacrificed in your unauthorized operation. As a Nebulae, I cannot allow such dishonorable actions to go unchallenged. I formally request the right to escort you back to Confederation space to face justice. The Admiral's flagship suddenly lurched forward, breaking formation as its engines flared to maximum power. He's making a run for it, Major Vega announced calmly. Not for long, Lieutenant Orlov responded, activating a targeted electromagnetic pulse. The pulse struck with surgical precision, disrupting the flagship's propulsion systems without damaging life support. The massive vessel drifted to a halt, powerless among its own fleet that had now turned against it. Boarding parties ready, Captain, Commander Halsey reported. Both human and Confederation security teams standing by. As the situation stabilized, Captain Riker finally allowed herself a moment to relax. Coordinate with Counselor Efrax on the transfer of Admiral Zox to Confederation custody. I believe Commander Vrex has earned the right to oversee that process. Hours later, with the crisis averted and the Drefalian fleet now under Confederation Council authority, Captain Riker and Commander Vrex stood in the observation lounge of the Invictus, watching as Confederation peacekeeping vessels arrived to escort the disgraced Admiral to justice. Your species continues to surprise me, Captain, Vrex admitted, his skin shifting through patterns of blue and gold. Respect and admiration. Where others might have seen only a military solution, you found a path that exposed truth without unnecessary bloodshed. Death worlds teach harsh lessons, Riker replied, watching the ships maneuver beyond the viewport. Those who survive learn quickly that pure aggression is rarely the optimal strategy. Adaptation, preparation, cooperation, these are the true keys to survival. The Confederation has underestimated humans, Vrex observed. They see your physical adaptations, your endurance, your resilience, but miss the adaptability of your minds. A common mistake when encountering a new species, Riker said with a slight smile. One I hope today's events will help correct. Commander. Halsey entered the lounge, datapad in hand. Captain, Confederation Central has sent official communication. They're requesting Earth's participation in a special diplomatic summit to revisit interspecies protocols and expansion rights. Tell them we'll be there, Riker replied, and inform Earth Command that we'll be bringing a new ally, if Commander Vrex is willing. Vrex's skin rippled with colors of agreement. The nebulae have maintained neutrality for too long. It is time we take a more active role in galactic affairs, particularly when truth and justice are at stake. Speaking of which, Halsey added, preliminary analysis of Admiral Zox's personal files reveals something interesting. He wasn't acting entirely alone. There appears to be a faction within the Confederation, spanning multiple species, united by a common fear of Deathworld civilizations. Fear often drives the worst in sentient beings, Riker observed, but it can also be overcome through understanding, which is precisely what makes today so significant, Vrex said. When my crew first detected this vessel, we saw only a prize to be claimed, technology to be salvaged. We failed to consider that Deathworld adaptations extend beyond physical characteristics to include ingenuity, preparedness, and moral courage. The observation lounge fell quiet as they watched the final Drifalian warship being escorted away. The immediate crisis had passed, but its implications would reshape galactic politics for generations to come. 3 weeks later, the Grand Assembly Hall of Confederation Central hummed with anticipation. Representatives from over 200 species had gathered for what many were already calling the most significant diplomatic event in a century. Captain Riker, now dressed in the formal blue and gold of Earth's diplomatic corps, stood beside Commander Vrex as they prepared to enter the chamber. Both had been called to testify about the events in Sector 87 Delta. "Nervous?" Riker asked, noting the subtle color fluctuations in Vrex's skin. "Cautiously optimistic," Vrex replied. "The evidence against Admiral Zox and his conspirators is irrefutable, but changing deeply held prejudices will take more than one diplomatic summit." "True change takes time," Riker agreed. "But today is a start." As they entered the assembly hall, the gathered representatives fell silent. At the center of the chamber stood High Counselor Talasian, the eldest member of the Confederation's ruling body, Captain Elisanda Riker of Earth and Commander Vrex. "Talaran of Nebulae," the High Counselor announced formally. "The Confederation Council recognizes your service in preventing an unauthorized conflict and exposing corruption within our ranks." The official proceedings began with detailed accounts from both officers. Holographic displays showed the evidence they had gathered, the doctored mission orders, the intercepted communications, the carefully orchestrated trap that had been set to provoke war. When they finished, High Counselor Talasian addressed the assembly. "For centuries, the Confederation has classified worlds according to their environmental challenges. Death worlds, those with extreme conditions, have been viewed with caution, their inhabitants often with suspicion. Today, we must reconsider this approach." A murmur passed through the assembled representatives. The actions of Captain Riker and her crew demonstrated not just the physical resilience we expected from Deathworld inhabitants, but wisdom, restraint, and honor we failed to anticipate. When presented with an opportunity for justified violence, they chose justice instead. The High Counselor turned to face Riker directly. "Captain, your government has submitted a formal request for expanded colonization rights in the fringe territories. In light of recent events, and with the support of Commander Talaran's testimony, the Council is prepared to approve this request, with conditions." "We are listening, High Counselor," Riker replied respectfully. "Earth will be granted stewardship over 17 previously contested systems. In return, human expertise in adaptation and survival will be shared with the Confederation through a new joint initiative, the Cooperative Advancement Protocol. The terms were more generous than anyone from Earth had dared hope for. It represented Not just territorial expansion, but recognition of humanity's unique contributions to galactic civilization. Additionally, the High Counselor continued, in recognition of the nebulae contribution to peace, Commander Vrex Talaran will be appointed as the first director of a new Confederation division dedicated to transparent interspecies relations. Vrex's skin flushed with patterns of surprise and honor, a reaction visible to all in the chamber. We stand at a crossroads, the High Counselor concluded. For too long, the Confederation has allowed fear of the unknown to influence our policies. The Zox conspiracy has shown us the danger of such thinking. Today, we choose a different path, one of cooperation, understanding, and mutual respect. As the assembly concluded, representatives from dozens of worlds approached Riker and Vrex, eager to establish new diplomatic and scientific connections. What had begun as a deceptive plot to trigger war had transformed into an unprecedented opportunity for peace. Later, aboard the Invictus, as it prepared to depart Confederation space, Captain Riker found Commander Vrex in the observation lounge once more, gazing at the stars. "Your new position suits you," she observed. "The Confederation needs leaders who value truth above politics. And the galaxy needs Death Worlders who understand that strength carries responsibility," Vrex replied. "Your people have much to teach us, Captain." "As you have much to teach us," Riker acknowledged. "This is just the beginning." As the Invictus powered up its engines and prepared to return to Earth space, the crew could sense the significance of what they had accomplished. They had not just prevented a war or exposed a conspiracy, they had changed how an entire galaxy viewed humanity. The ship that had been discovered as a presumed derelict had instead become the catalyst for a new era of galactic cooperation. The Death Worlders had proven themselves not just survivors, but visionaries capable of seeing beyond conflict to possibility. And as the Invictus accelerated into the darkness of space, its mission complete, the message was clear to all who had witnessed these events. Underestimate humans at your peril, not because they were dangerous, though they certainly could be, but because they had mastered the most powerful adaptation of all, the ability to turn enemies into allies and crises into opportunities. For in the end, that was perhaps the greatest lesson of their Death World origins, that true strength lies not in domination, but in connection. And in that strength, all species might yet find a path forward together among the stars.